trends for 2023 in sports nutrition. We recently were able to see SupplySide West, thanks to Nutrition 21 for sponsoring the trip out there, by the way. And when we were there, we got to see a lot of really cool trends that were maybe emerging or flourishing. Every year we go there, we usually see some really obvious trends. In 2019, it was CBD entirely. In 2021, there was a lot of mushrooms. This year, we saw 4 or 5 different trends that I want to talk about today. I'm not going to go super far in each, but I want to identify them and kind of put them out there early on so that as they grow, maybe we can call back to this video and talk about the growth that's happened. So number 1, doing more with less. I saw a big emphasis on delivery systems or better bioavailability. Obviously, we're talking about stuff like nitrosogene being compared to citrulline, things like glucovantage being a better version of berberine, dihydroberberine. And this could come from a couple different reasons. I'm mostly seeing this as a solution to supply chain issues. As we all know, citrulline got very expensive, so we obviously saw changes in other pump ingredients and how they marketed around that kind of issue. And that kind of plays into a lot of different areas of supplementation. As some products get more expensive, or as we identify products that maybe may not be very efficient, we can look to move towards ingredients that are more efficient, that you can do more with less. Number 2, gummies. Saw a lot for gummies this year. And I think it's kind of funny because gummies to me are an old delivery system that we don't often see ingredients that work very well with. We've seen some companies put together gummies that work with ingredients that do work in that form, that delivery system. But I found it kind of ironic how many gummy companies were talking about flavoring, experience, all this different stuff. And I actually mostly saw this in the contract manufacturing side of things. I'm not actually even saying that this is becoming an end product for the consumers yet, although we have seen an uptick in, kids gummies from great companies. Gummies are a disgusting process to manufacture. If you watch our podcast with Candy Can with Crick from that brand, we talked a lot about the manufacturing process for gummies. It's kind of disgusting. And so it's kind of nice to see more brands pushing the manufacturing fist on how they can make this for companies. Hopefully we'll see more efficacious gummies coming soon. I haven't seen them yet, but maybe soon. Number 3, mushrooms. Now this is a continuation of 2021. Definitely something you guys know that I'm very passionate about. I really believe that mushrooms are going to unlock a lot of potential for us in performance, productivity, health, immune, better sleep. There's so many different ways that mushrooms can help us. And I believe that with the growth of microdosing, a lot of people are getting a lot more interested in the concept of mushrooms. Maybe not mushrooms that are not currently legal, but in the legal landscape of dietary supplements, there are literally dozens of different strains of mushrooms that we can use for our own benefit. So we saw a lot of people talking about that this year. Now, I did see this in 2021 last year, but saw it in more of a legitimate this way this year. Last year, we saw, people in the crowds. We saw some off to the side mushroom conversations, but we saw legitimate booths about it this year. And I think it is growing and taking a foothold in the industry. Now, the last one I want to talk about is going to be discussions around the FDA and their overstepping in our industry. NAC was a huge discussion this year when we were there. And ironically, as we talk about the FDA's overstepping on NMN as well, that conversation continued after SupplySide West. Specifically, we talked a lot about what the FDA did wrong with NAC, how they did it wrong, and I had the very unique opportunity to sit down with NPA and the actual lawyer that litigated with FDA about this. Now, conversations were a little bit fueled by some whiskey, but it was very, very informative. I learned so much this year. It was a super honor to be able to sit down with people of such stature in the industry. I mean, I look up these kinds of people. These are the kind of people that I've wanted to learn from since I became interested in supplements. So this is an ongoing story, but we see growing support from brands on pushing back on the FDA on this kind of stuff. In previous years, there were a lot of calls the FDA made that we agreed with, and a lot of people were afraid to step up and stand up to the FDA. But with the NPA suing FDA about NAC and winning, we're seeing a lot of motivation and momentum for this industry to stand up to these bullies. So that was probably the biggest thing that I saw this year, was the amount of brands and individuals that were concerned about our safety as dietary supplement suppliers, people who are willing to step up and fight for this. So that was so motivating for me, and I'm super excited to see where that goes from there. So that was what I saw at SupplySide this year. I'm really excited to see that going into next year. Usually these trends follow for the next year, and we almost always end up calling back to these. So again, I want to send a big thank you to Nutrition 21 for sponsoring our trip out to SupplySide. I really get so excited to interface with such intelligent and accomplished people in this industry. It's really a dream come true for me to be able to sit down, have dinner, whatever, with people who have created the products that I have enjoyed for so long, and that I now get to be a part of the creation and the promotion and research of. I can't put into words how exciting this is for me. So Nutrition 21 really helps us get into that. They for so long have been behind the scenes on so much of this stuff as well. Like Joe Weiss, Todd Spear have really paved the way for a lot of people. So a big thank you to you guys for bringing us out. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.